Good afternoon. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to see you here. Before we get started with the performance, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the composer and about the performance itself, because it's a little bit of a different one, and hopefully you'll think it's a special one also. So Fanny Hensel, our composer today, lived in the 19th century in Berlin. She was known throughout her adult life after her marriage as Fanny Hensel. That was her married name. But she was born Fanny Mendelssohn, and she was the older sister of noted composer and conductor Felix Mendelssohn. The two of them were very close throughout their lives. They grew up together with the same wonderful musical education, and their family was so proud of having these two musical prodigies, musical geniuses in their family. As they entered their mid-teens, however, their paths diverged dramatically. Felix went on to an international career as a composer and conductor, but Fanny was told that her music could only be an ornament to her domestic life. You see, at the time, women of her social standing were discouraged from performing in public, from publishing their music in their own name. So she lived within those constraints for the most part throughout her life. However, she also exploded those constraints in a number of ways. And one of the ways in which she did that is she composed constantly throughout her life. She only lived to be 41 years old. She died tragically at 41 of a massive stroke. But in her 41-year lifetime, she managed to compose over 450 works. And only a small fraction of those were published during her lifetime. So a lot of those works were miniatures, like short pieces for piano, or lieder, songs for voice and piano. But a few of the works she composed were truly monumental. And that includes Das Jahr, the year, which is the work we're going to be hearing today. So Fanny Hensel composed Das Jahr in 1841, and she gave it to her husband, Wilhelm, as a Christmas gift. Wilhelm was an artist, and he was incredibly supportive of Fanny as a composer and as a creative person. In fact, they just had a really amazing partnership, it seems, in their marriage. The two of them spent most days working side by side in their studios in their family home. So in 1842, they decided to do a project together, which was they took Fanny's version of Das Jahr that she had composed, and together they created a really special version of Das Jahr. So Fanny took the music she had composed, she revised it so that it became even more of a coherent cycle of pieces. And at the same time, Wilhelm created illustrations for each month of the year. Oh yes, I should have said, so this piece is actually made up of short pieces, each representing the months of the year. And there's a 13th piece for New Year's Day. And so Wilhelm illustrated each of the months of the year, and they picked out different colored, poetry, lines from German Romantic poetry to go along with each month. They picked out different colored paper for each month to symbolize that month. So for example, April is bright green, like the new leaves of spring. And they bound it all together into this beautiful illustrated manuscript. And all together, it formed this multimodal picture of the year. It represents the seasons, sort of punctuated by secular and religious celebrations. And also it refers to events from their own family life. For example, their trip to Italy that they had taken as a family. And the whole work is, as I said, monumental. It takes about, say, 50 to 55 minutes to perform in its entirety. It's really one of the most monumental works written for piano in the 19th century. And it's really, I think a lot of people are starting to really recognize it as a masterpiece of the piano literature. However, like most of Fanny Hensel's works, this was not published during her lifetime. So the first time any of it was published was in 1989. So remember, it was written in 1841. So almost 150 years after it was first written is the first time this work was published. Now, at that point, so that was the original version, not the illustrated version. When that version came out in 1989, the Mendelssohn family realized that they had something in their possession that was sort of like the thing that had just been published. Well, it turned out that the illustrated manuscript had been passed down through generations of the Mendelssohn family, along with some manuscripts by Felix Mendelssohn. And at some point, the family cast lots to see who would get what. And the losing branch of the family got the illustrated manuscript. They were disgusted by this outcome, and they just shoved the manuscript in this pile of papers in their living room and forgot about it until 1989, when the original version was published. Fortunately, at that point, the Berlin City Library was able to acquire the illustrated manuscript, and then the first published edition of that manuscript came out in 1998. So not that long ago. You know, it's starting to be performed more. It's still kind of becoming something that is making its way into the piano repertoire. It's not performed that often, partly because it is pretty monumental. It's a pretty big undertaking to perform this entire piece. So that's cool. Like, that's something special, and that's something I'm very excited to share with you all. But I'm even more excited because today we're also bringing you our own interpretation of sort of the multimodal aspects of this work as it was originally conceived. So I've had the great honor and pleasure, and I've had just so much fun collaborating with the visual artist Olivia Ting. And she's backstage right now. She's gonna come say hi at the end. She's just getting ready for the performance. But Olivia has designed these videos, one that goes along with each month. And the videos not only incorporate the illustrations and the poetry and the colors from this illustrated manuscript, but they also add an entirely new dimension to this story. And because Olivia had this idea of trying to bring out Fanny Hensel's creative process through the videos. So she uses shadows and silhouettes and kind of layers those with the illustrations and the poetry and so on. And the idea is to illustrate not just the seasons of the year, but the seasons of creativity. So you'll see a flood of inspiration, and you'll see a drought, and you'll see joy at finding a perfect idea, and despair because no ideas, are coming. You'll see grief over the realization that you can never express everything. Sorry. I always start crying when I talk. Anyway, you can never express everything in one lifetime. There's never enough time. but also you'll see this gratitude for what you can bring into the world. So this is a really special piece. I hope you all really enjoy it today. I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you. I know Olivia is too. And yeah, just a couple quick announcements. So yeah, we're gonna begin the performance in just a couple minutes. There is no intermission. It's gonna just be straight through. It's about 55 minutes or so, including little pauses between the movements. I know there's some little ones here, and it's like, it's totally fine if you need to walk out. It's not gonna bother me at all. I totally get it. And yeah, if you could turn off your phones though, that would be awesome. And also please no photography during the performance. Also, if you could hold your applause till the end, I think that will let everyone experience the whole effect more. And then just finally, just thank you so much to Cabrillo for having us here in this beautiful facility. It's such a pleasure to be here. And thank you to Arts Council Santa Cruz County for supporting our work and bringing this performance to you all. And there is a table out in the lobby that has some cool Fanny Hensel sheet music and merchandise, and also just information about her if you're interested. So we have Molly McCann from Hensel Pushers, which has she's done a ton of work to help make Fanny Hensel's work more accessible to more people. And she's actually here, and you can talk with her. And Olivia and I will also make our way out toward the lobby afterward if you want to chat with us. All right, thank you all again for coming out, and in just a few moments we'll begin Hensel's Dream, a multimodal performance of Fanny Hensel's Das Jahr.